We are at the Tshwane University of Technology at the Pretoria campus. This is going to be the epicenter of a town hall as well as a live production on SABC 1 and of course on your #1 youth current affairs show. We're going to be putting a very important spotlight on the salient and national agenda around responsible drinking among young people.
Injalo-ke umbuzo omkhulu ohlelweni, is enough being done to educate and create awareness around responsible drinking, ikakhulukazi in our campus communities?
Ngalento yokubulawa abantu emathaveni angicabanga ukuthi into evele nje yenzeka randomly. Into eyenzakalayo ukuthi uthola ukuthi umuntu unenkinga nomunye umuntu.
I don't feel safe because like a lot of things are happening here in Mutlagezile, especially here in Mutlagezile. People are getting killed, young people are getting raped because like it's not safe for us to go out. We don't know who we meet outside. Some other people approach us like they love us, but then we don't know what's going to happen to us.
I don't feel safe as a lady because out here, like young people, like we all get all this type of attention, and when people come out to you, you feel like someone is watching you, and when you're out there, like when the person approaches you, you feel like, okay, this person is gonna do something.
We're no longer safe. Like everybody doesn't feel safe. I also doesn't feel safe. So I just feel like all these taverns and stuff, they need to have more security so that when we go home, there are people that at least can escort people that are nearby who are walking and stuff.
You know, when you go outside, you're going where? Please take care of yourself. Don't make excuses and who's killing who and what. Take care of yourself.
I feel like people are not safe because like sometimes they want to celebrate in taverns like birthdays and ish, but then the killing make them insecure in going to the places, you understand? So I feel like those places should have more security.
Young girl, when you go to a tavern, please don't ask guys to buy you drinks. Buy your own drink. Make sure you have your drink in your hand the whole time. Make sure that you are secured by yourself. And the thing is, make sure that you go home at a safe time. Don't stay until morning hours where you know things are going to start happening.
I think maybe let me start with Fati. You know, you are a regulator of, you know, the liquor industry in the south, at least in our country, and we want to find out from you: are you doing enough to bring education, to, you know, create awareness around what responsible drinking is, especially when it comes to liquor operators?
Yeah, thanks, and thanks for asking that question. We are the regulator of retail sale of alcohol in the province. Over and above regulating the retail sale and consumption of alcohol, we have programs that seek to empower consumers of alcohol to consume alcohol responsibly by doing education and awareness programs. We partner with some of our stakeholders, both in government and in private sector, and we're trying as much as possible over and above, you know, trying to check if, you know, the outlets are actually compliant, but also to give them information that would empower them to make informed choices in respect of the consumption of alcohol. So we have programs that seek to actually, you know, empower users of alcohol and also people who trade in alcohol to trade responsibly and also to consume it responsibly.
Brigitte, maybe let me bring you into this conversation. I mean, we've heard a lot about the incidents that have been taking place, whether it was Enyobeni, it was PE, it was Soweto. I mean, what is the latest in terms of updates around what has been happening on the ground?
Thank you. The Enyobeni incident is something that should never have happened. It must never ever be allowed to happen again. And as my colleague from the Liquor Board had said, there are certain compliance aspects that must be checked at all times. Just before we go to other cases, let's look at that specific one. The case has been investigated at sub judice, and the answers will be given to that. However, what I'm trying to say here is, first and foremost, a child should never be allowed in a liquor outlet. A person below the age of 18 should not have access to alcohol and should not be allowed within an outlet like that. And no matter where you are, where in this country you are, we shouldn't allow that access. It's not right. Once you've turned 18, you have legal access to alcohol, and you can utilize it like you want to. And that's where the area of responsibility, your responsible drinking, your responsible usage. But remember one thing, that the alcohol is sold as a product or given to a person by another person. Now, that person must be as responsible as the user at the end of the day. Early on in one of the snippets that you had, when you said to me the other taverns, one of the people that was interviewed there said that the places must secure themselves. This is very, very important. I personally work together with my provincial commissioner, the MEC of safety in our province, of community safety. We visit these liquor outlets on Saturday evenings. And at some places, it is so full and crowded. And a simple little incident happens in there and people will be injured.
Yeah.
And then your access control to this must be controlled.
Yeah.
There should be people searching them. A liquor outlet is a firearm-free zone, end of the day.
Yeah. And you know, I think I want to, and I'm going to speak to Barbara, but VC, I mean, thank you again for allowing us to be on your campus and to host this town hall. But what are you doing on the ground to bring about education around responsible drinking? What are the campaigns that you have, you know, to educate young people who are central to some of these incidences that we've seen?
Yeah, thank you very much for that question. Let me start before I answer your question, but provide a little bit of context. I think, you know, the one thing we need not do is to be in denial about what young people are doing, especially their relationship with liquor. Even those below 18, and I agree with my colleague next to me that no child below 18 should be in a tavern. But the reality is something that we should not deny, and we should tackle it from that point of view without denying the reality of what is going on. But the second thing I want to say is this phrase, responsible drinking, we must not receive that uncritically, because the phrase suggests that, you know, the drinker is really who we should be focused on alone. And all my colleagues who have spoken have already spoken about various role players. The people who sell liquor, the people who make liquor, the people who advertise liquor, the people who give licenses for liquor outlets. All of those people must come into play. So we can't use the phrase responsible drinking in order to blame, as it were, the drinker. And responsible drinking sounds to me sometimes like an oxymoron. It probably comes from the liquor producers themselves. Yeah. It's not a phrase that comes from the users. Because, you know, it's a bit like winners know when to stop. So we focus on the person, the individual who drinks, without looking at the systems that causes people to drink. But let me answer your question about what universities are doing. So many universities will have campaigns which often involve the SRC itself. Certainly here at TUT, we had the SRC leading a campaign trying to teach fellow students responsibility around drinking, but I prefer the phrase moderate drinking to responsible drinking, because... And
maybe let me come in quickly, because we are going to go to an ad break, but I'm going to allow you to obviously just unpack that a little bit more. I mean, as the largest alcohol manufacturer in South Africa, what are you doing? And I know it's quick, but what are you doing around making sure that we are, you know, fighting this culture of irresponsible drinking that we're seeing in this country?
So I
think it's a very complex problem. As my colleague said, there is access as an issue. There is a consumer and there is a system. First, I want to say this is not a one-party solution. I think it's about all working together. And before this panel, we had such great discussion on how do we collaborate. And I'll give you one example, especially of what we're doing around access. Now, we've started in 2021 to send people that looks very young, that looks underage, to all taverns, all counter-serve basically, to see if they are being sold alcohol. If they are, basically they'll be said non-compliant, and that's when we have a very good discussion with the law enforcement around that specific outlet. And if they are compliant, we will reward and incentivize them. That is like practical, like we have proof, it's on camera, so it's a continuous audit to change the situation with access. No underage person should be served or be able to buy any alcohol at any taverns. I think that's from the access point of view. Now there's a more systemic view of the issue. One of the root causes of why people drink excessively is unemployment, hopelessness, you know, and if you want to tackle the problem, you need to look at those more systemic issues. So for example, actually, and I'm going to really try to say it properly, please excuse me, we are actually running a very interesting campaign in Gauteng, and really it's about how do you change, you know, I'm unemployed, so what is my solution, you know, to cope with life? It's binge drinking. How do we change that social norm? And it's really about finding the opportunities and being able to seize them. Yeah. So that's really how we address it.
Yeah, and look, I wish we actually had more time, but I think we'll come back a little bit later, especially because it's very important for us to be able to come up with solutions and a way forward. We continue with this very important conversation that we're having today, our town hall here at TUT Pretoria campus. We'll be back right after this.
Currently, right now, we're in front of Enyobeni Lifestyle. Keeping people who are very young safe in the establishments is part of our top priority. So our security goes out of their way to make sure that everybody that enters into the place doesn't mean any harm to anybody. Of course, when you involve alcohol and a large group of people, things sometimes do get out of hand. And of course, once again, our bouncers take care of that in a peaceful manner.
Young girls, when you go to a table, please don't ask guys to buy you drinks. Buy your own drinks.
Sometimes they want to celebrate in taverns like birthdays and ish, but then the killing make them insecure in going to the places.
You know, when you go outside, you're going where? Please take care of yourself.
All these taverns and stuff, they need to have more security so that when we go home, there are people that at least can escort people that are nearby who are walking.
I don't feel safe as a lady because out here, like young people, like we all get all this type of attention.
Some other people approach us like they love us, but then we don't know what's going to happen to us.
Hello expressions. Remo motlhakeng fana mo Ramfanteng. Mo le Java buying grade ke establishment ya mo motlhakeng. Bona as re operate fana. I see create any incident le gore maybe it's a problem. Re direkisana le mapodisa le di CPF. Mapodisa a dula antsale around. And le rona gape ka mo establishment ya rona. Re na le di bouncer. Di bouncer tse le go di shebile anything ba searcha how kena and stuff. And I gape le di camera tse le gore if gona le incident e tsahalang re kgona bona after go tsagetse.
The killings are very scary, but then the nice thing is that when it comes to Motlhake is a very peaceful kasi.
You get people coming from Soweto, Kagiso, they'll still come here regardless of what has been happening. Because why? We still tell them that nothing like that happens around here.
Ukusiphephile sisiphephe kakhulu kwangoku akho into engasithi xaxa sase right akho into embi.
All right, it's Pinis and Bingelas Namgela. You're still with us right here on SABC 1 Mzansi for sure. And this is a special edition, your expressions in Namhlanje. Last kuluma corner about alcohol abuse, ikakhulukazi in our student communities. Sizagene bukhoma namhlanje from Tshwane University of Technology. Lapho sikhulumisana khona nabantu abasha. Once again, guys, it's great to have you on the program today. Welcome to it. So, we sibonile ukuthi kwenzakalani Enyobeni Tavern some 2 months ago. Let's speak about solutions, or rather some of the insights that you guys might have on the conversation that we're having. Namhlanje, please pass her the mic. Thank you.
Greetings to all. My name is Buhle Matswili. I am a journalism student, first year at Tshwane University of Technology. So the point that I want to make is that campaigns that should be teaching young children how to be responsible drinkers should begin in primary school, because let's be real, young people are exposed to alcohol from a very young age. We see it with the Enyobeni Tavern incident that the youngest victim was 13 years old. And even though we always see messages about how we should drink responsibly, young people should have campaigns that are teaching them how to drink responsibly.
All right. Let's give others a chance as well. Let's come this side. Over to you. Yes, you can go ahead, make your point. Go ahead and make your point so we can hear you.
Greetings to everyone. My name is Gazmulu Arangube. I'm also a first year journalism student at Tshwane University of Technology. Regarding to what has been said, I think the best solution is for the employees to take more caution when allowing consumers to come in, and to take more diligence. And the security should be a little bit more tighter when allowing people to come in, because we cannot allow weapons to enter the premises.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let's because we heard, I think one point that came out of the panelists, Ubab Maluleke spoke about how we need to be realistic about this particular thing, because we can't turn a blind eye and say young people are not drinking. Young people are drinking. So let's find holistic ways in approaching this. Can I please get the mic to the lady here, because I think she also has a point to make. Go ahead, ma'am, make your point.
Thank you so much. My name is Re'achila Makwela. Mine is academia focused. I have 2 questions to the panel. To the liquor board, how do establishments such as pubs and taverns get their liquor licenses in zoned areas meant for institutional residencies? And to the SAPS, what is done by the SAPS to ensure that regulatory measures are put into place to ensure that existing laws and policies are actually carried out by these establishments? And for future cases, I think the media and the government so far fails to ensure that the messages that they put across actually warrants change. Because in most cases, it's alcohol kills, but it doesn't warrant enough change for a person to say, I want to quit alcohol. Because that is something that we all know. But looking into future campaigns, maybe look into messages that will actually prompt somebody to want to make change. Thank you.
All right, let's get more insights. And of course, remember, Mbugeli, this is, of course, a live conversation. Namhlanje from TUT. What do you have to say? Do interact with us. And let's go back to this side. Okay, please hand the gentleman there the microphone to make his point. Go ahead.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sylvester Khachaza. I am a student at the Tshwane University of Technology doing my 2nd year. I just have a quick comment with regard to the topic that is being discussed today. There can only be so much done in educating young people about responsible drinking. But I think it's time for us as young people to take charge of our lives. We are the ones who are supposed to be having these conversations, even when SABC cameras are not around here. We have to be the ones who take charge of our lives, have these conversations, educate ourselves about responsible drinking. Use these smartphones that you all are carrying now to educate yourself about responsible drinking and take charge for your lives. Thank you.
Okay, all right. So I don't know if there's more young people this side who would also like to have a say on this. Perhaps that's also, maybe let me bring you back in, because I know we're having conversations around what needs to happen really. And I know you've pointed it out also in some of your questions. Talk to us right now about what are some of the solutions that you want to see, specifically coming from the likes of SAB.
Okay, I think what needs to be done is to have community dialogues, right? To try and establish where the problems are lying. For instance, my main concern is for institutional residencies, because we have a great problem with establishments like taverns and pubs, where they are operating until late hours and wee hours of the morning at that fact, and students can't even study. So it's not only a problem of consuming too much alcohol, but also the establishments are a problem, specifically in the institutions. So what can be done is to have community dialogues to try and establish where the problem is, so that you can actually start conveying messages on the media and social media to ensure that people acknowledge what the problems are, so that we can take these people into account. Because honestly, we depend on you for our future.
Indeed, and those are some of the voices coming from young people on this particular issue. Qhubekela phambili as we're having this conversation around responsible drinking, ikakhulukazi kuma communities zethu, ama universities. Mbukeli, we're back after this, and we apologize for the sound quality once again, because we're on the ground and there are a lot of technical glitches that can happen, so we apologize for that. Godoke siyabuya ke masibuya straight after this.
Welcome back. You're watching your number one youth current affairs show, of course, Expressions. Today, we are having a town hall at TU2 at the Pretoria main campus. And the poll question that we're asking you today is, enough being done to educate and create awareness around responsible drinking within the South African student community? Now, we've run out of time, but I have to introduce my next guest who's just joined us on the panel, and it's the CEO of aware.org, Carmen Mohapi. And unfortunately, I think there's so much that could have been said, but I think from you, Carmen, we want to know, I mean, what is it that drives, when we're looking at responsible drinking in South Africa, is alcohol the problem, or are they deeper behavioral problems that we need to address as a country?
I'm really glad you asked that question, because it's very, very complex. It's not just about alcohol. It's actually what are the drivers of the behaviors to the misuse of alcohol. And when you look at the different things, and because we're talking about underage, I want to really focus on that. When you look at it, it's a lack of positive role modeling, peer pressure, and I look to everyone in this room who have the opportunity to be positive ambassadors, as our learned speaker mentioned earlier. But equally, what's really scary is alcohol use is starting as early as 9. And you're right, you're completely right, the interventions need to start in primary school. But equally, where we can make a difference is offering positive opportunities. Our youth are lacking recreational opportunities, so out of boredom, peer pressure, access to alcohol. They are consuming alcohol at a very early age, and what they don't realize is that has an impact on their brains, on their bodies, and their futures. And so it's up to all of us, communities, parents, us as industry, and I represent industry, but also government. We all have a role to play in driving responsible consumption.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. And I'm so sorry I could not give everybody the opportunity to actually say your last words, but thank you so very much. Prof, thank you for hosting us and allowing this town hall. TU2, thank you. So we've come to the end of today's episode, and we hope as Expressions that we were able to give you the awareness and the education when it comes to responsible drinking. Thank you so much to TUT for hosting us, and of course the panelists and our town hall. Yes, sis, today we went really big. We went out very big.
And of course, sibonge kakhulu nakuwe Mbukeli for your participation in Enkundleni Zethu Zokuxhumana. I think some of my greatest takeouts namhlanje was listening to Ulosha coming up with problems, but most importantly, also solutions for inkinga ebhekane nabo. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, and sele kahle.
Adios, muchachos. Bye.